guys, hello and welcome to Group B of the round 16 Challenger League. This is going to be our first game here, a ZVP. We've got the first two games actually going to be ZVP. Going to be pretty cool. We've got Zergs and Protoss all night, and yeah, first of those is going to be this player spawning down the bottom left-hand corner from Team Immortals. It is WarreN. His opponent is going to be spawning up in the top right-hand corner, representing this anime chick on their spinner. 346 proteins, Trace. I don't know my anime chicks too well, but it's definitely one of them. I would recognize that anywhere. But yeah, wow, WarreN actually going for 3 hats before pull straight up there. Not even afraid, which is especially risky given this is overgrowth as well, and as a 2-spell map, one of the shorter rush distance maps in the pool, there was a distinct possibility, I feel, that Trace could have gone for a forward fast expand and seriously punished this, or even just with a gateway expand. His first 2 zealots, if it chronoed them out, could do a lot of damage to a 3 hatch full pool build. But as it's turned out, he's gotten away with it pretty nicely. I don't think Trace will be able to do that much to punish it, really, given his next is already, a fairly significant amount of the way down. So, yeah, WarreN's going to secure a really nice early economic lead here, and should be able to carry that forwards into the mid-game. And there's a lot of options he can go off with a 3-hatch full pool build as well, even if he wants to go a bit aggressive. Just saturating those 2 bases and using the 3rd hatch for just purely for production to pump out a bunch of roaches or a bunch of lings or a bunch of any other unit he so desires. But most likely, I think we're just going to see him, pump out as many drones as possible before he has to make some units to hold off any kind of aggression that could potentially come out of Trace. And I think we'll be seeing some of that, given that he is actually chronoing out Warp Gate. Most likely just going to be seeing probably 2 to 3 gate zealots harassment, but it kind of depends on how many more gases he takes. If he doesn't take any more gas, then I kind of lean towards it being like a really big 7-gate all-in, but I don't know. I don't think you have to chrono Warp Gate for that. I don't know. But yeah, this is a lot of gateways coming out. It looks like Trace is going to be going for... how many gates have we got so far? That's 6 buildings, 7, 8 gateways? Damn, this is going to be some heavy pressure. So Trace just going straight for the gateway all in, and WarreN is actually going to be a little bit behind in just his tech from this 3 hats full pool. The Roach one isn't going to be finished for a good while, although his drone count will be very high. These gateways are going to be finishing up in about 30 seconds and starting their warpings across the map. WarreN kind of has to shut this down, or he has to delay this a little bit before it actually hits. I think he's got an inkling that something's happening because he's seen those that Zealot Stalker out on the map. But what he really needs to do is shut down that pylon, shut down the probe, kill the pylons. He's got speed now, nice and fast, and he is going to find this probe and pylon, so he will chase them down. The probe goes down pretty much immediately. This pylon going down as well is going to mean that Trace's only proxy pylon is a very long way away, so this is exactly what WarreN needs. And of course, it enables him to know that there is something on the way, another probe coming out for Trace, along with first round of warpins that was forced to be gotten at home. But WarreN now has, with a 3 hat full pool, he's got a lot of lava, he's got a lot of queens, he's got a decent drone count, and he should be fairly well positioned to hold this. Actually, a few lings are going to go around for a counter-attack to try and delay this even more further. Trace is warping in pylons home, and 1 sentry, a couple stalkers will help this a lot. But the difficult part now for WarreN is actually holding at home at the same time. Now, he's got 3 queens, a handful of roaches, and his natural, but this is a lot of zealots and stalkers coming in here to Trace, and the Mothership Core adds a lot of power, especially allowing those zealots to close with the queens. But let's see how well WarreN holds. A big spell of roaches just finished now, but there's the time warp going down. They're not going to be able to kite away from those those zealots so well, but I don't think it matters. WarreN's just pumping out roaches and roaches and roaches. The queens are close down the military core, no problem. It's just stalkers left, and a bunch of lings coming in are going to be able to chase them down very, very easily. Across the map, Trace has managed to hold off the counter-attack, but at the same time, WarreN has had no trouble in pushing Trace away so far. The next round of zealots coming, but I mean, now Trace is just desperately trying to defend his proxy pilot rather than actually putting on any kind of aggression. And it looks to me like WarreN has defended this without too much trouble. I mean, when you're on the NSL with Hitman, you've got to have some kind of experience in defending these big gateway all-ins. And it looks like WarreN is bringing that to bear truly strongly. So, moving forwards a little bit, Trace will get a nice little trade-off there against the Zerglings, but now the roaches come in, it is just too much to handle, and WarreN manages to take game one.
Welcome back to ASL's Challenger League, round of 16, Group B, and this is the first match of the night in the second game of that, and in the bottom left-hand corner of Expedition Lost, playing for Immortals Gaming, it is WarreN. I believe it's Immortals, right?
Yep.
Whew.
And his opponent is going to be the pink Protoss player, putting on some proxies up in the top right-hand corner from 346 Pro Team, Trace. And because of how tiny this map is, I looked at the mini-map and I thought, is he proxying a Nexus? But it is just the proxy 1 gate as well. So WarreN has scouted this, so he knows there's a proxy of some kind. I think by the probes he should be able to tell that it is just a single proxy gate. And yeah, he should know how to respond to this. I mean, the pull first is a great start. Proxy hatching. The proxy hatch could turn out really well for him because, it'll force WarreN to respond fairly heavily. But on the other hand, he has to make sure he's got enough to defend at home. So, like a spine, maybe 2 or several lings. And investing too much into that hatchery could seriously hamper his defense at home. A couple of zealots are going to come out of WarreN. It looks like he's actually not going up to the cybercore and associated stalkers.
You mean
and
Trace,
I like that
right?
decision against. Yeah, I like that decision against Zerg because I mean stalkers aren't so good against Zerg as they are against Terrans, against whom we more typically see the 1 gate.
Yeah, I agree with that. Stalkers definitely aren't as good in that position, so getting out these zealots for Trace is a lot better for him. Now, there is going to be a little bit of a flank from WarreN, or at least not a flank, but it should actually be able to take out this pylon or the gate, which will pretty much leave these zealots only at 3. They will not be able to pull back in time, but actually WarreN's saying, no, I'm going to come back home to defend, and I think there's positive and negatives to each decision here, taking out that zealot or taking out the pylon, but it looks like he will try to engage for right now. Queen get in a nice position here, just making sure these zealots won't come up the ramp, and so far Trace is just working on that hatch that did go down. No proxy hatch, no nothing for WarreN in this position. Spine Crawler trying to get down to that low ground and see what it can do. Some nice micro with these lings, and this Queen's got to be very careful, but I think WarreN will be fine actually from this.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's running out of lings though, and the 2 zealots still alive are going to take.
As we say that.
However, Spine's borrowed, but it's borrowed down on the low ground, and he needs something up top to fend off these zealots. He has got 1 queen, which will be able to kite them around the creep a little bit, but stepping off creep is a little bit of a risk. I think he can just stop their shields regenning a bit, and they are kind of trapped up here, but they can trade nicely against the lings. Although, pretty sick micro is gonna mean I think only like 2 lings went down for those 2 zealots, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I would have liked to see with those first lings to at least take out the pylon. Obviously, we have not seen anything else out of this gateway from Trace, but it could stack very, very quickly. On the back of this, Trace just getting up his natural bases economy. Not actually a single probe there yet, but he's got the forge up, got the cannon, and so he should be okay for a while. But WarreN does have some nice overlord positionings for the kind of later game once we do see out of Trace kind of picking his tech for this game. And I'm kind of curious out of Trace the decision to do the gateway, at least right there. Interesting thing, the pylon will be taken out actually, and WarreN going for that gold base to really say, okay, I didn't lose a ton of that first attack, but I think you actually set yourself back by that. So he's going into that gold base for now.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad decision at all. I mean, by putting on such an early aggressive maneuver, Trace has really cut his abilities to put on any kind of aggression a little bit later on, because his Cybercore's going to be Warp Gate's going to finish up way later. It could be finishing up like about now with normal gateway timing, but it's sort of halfway done. So that gold base should provide a really nice little boost in income for WarreN to actually, as it turns out, it will have to hold off. How many gateways is it going to be? 6, probably another like 7 or 8 gate all in. Looks like WarreN is going to scout this though. His Overlord coming in is going to see as many gates as it needs to, and this should give WarreN all he needs.
Yeah, that's all WarreN needs here. WarreN is getting out the Roach WarreN. WarreN getting out the Roach WarreN. Being on 3 gas right now, he's going to be in a very nice position to defend this, especially with the hatch actually at that gold base, because he will be able to reinforce into a kind of an aggressive location. And really for Trace right here, I think that's probably the... he could have done some other stuff. This is definitely a viable possibility doing this heavy gateway pressure, but I think he really needed to be more careful for it not to be spotted, because once it's spotted, he will WarreN will have a good minute and a half to kind of prep up for the defense. Actually, I take that back. Good, like 30-45 seconds.
Yeah, and a bunch of links coming out. Speed isn't finished this time though, so it'll be much more difficult to actually chase down. Oh, never mind. He actually did manage to chase down and kill the probe. So yeah, actually, it's going to be delayed again for Trace, and the Mothership Core though has managed to deny this gold base really nicely, so it'll be a little bit tougher for WarreN. But if he can keep a hold of this gold base, it'll be a big win for him.
Yeah, but with 24 lanes right now with WarreN, I mean, with only a Zealot and a Stalker, these Stalkers are really going to have to reinforce, but for now, it looks like Trace will be pulled back. Now, we did have 3 Spine Crawlers going down for WarreN, actually moving 2 up to that gold base, and he really does not want to lose these lanes. It was a great pickup taking down that pylon right there, and he's got to be very careful for the next maybe 20 seconds, I think, or no, 10 seconds only. Once these Spine Crawlers get down, he does have speed now. He'll be in a very nice position to defend, even though with lots of Zealots. I'd love to see a few Queens, which it looks like he's trying to pull over a Queen to this gold base, but it's going to be a while without any creep.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, and he's going to, I mean, yeah, Trace is going to move forward through those Spine Crawlers, no problem at all. And this time he's managed to mass up a much scarier gateway force, one that's going to be really difficult for WarreN to contend with. I don't think these Roaches are going to be enough. The Stalkers can fight back against them. The Roaches don't have speed. And yeah, it looks like Trace is going to have broken this goal base. WarreN has to fall back and try and make a defense of his natural, I think.
Yeah, and with only 1 Spine Crawler, he moved the original 3 he made there onto that gold base. He will not have any more Spine Crawlers on here. And WarreN does not have that creep to... He really didn't have the creep to defend that, nor the... nor the Roach Speeds you're saying. I think maybe it would have been a better idea is to push out maybe 1 or 2 extra Queens. That would have helped in the defense. But just before he really took that 3rd, or while he's taking that 3rd, to push out 1 or 2 extra Queens would do that. But for right now, WarreN just getting another Spine Crawler up, and he's completely on the defensive right now. Actually getting a layer, which I do like, kind of preparing if he can push this back, or preparing another composition to at least push this back with possibly Hydras. But we'll be engaging on this ramp. Decent. At least with the Lings, trying to keep these Zealots in on the ramp for now.
Yeah, WarreN's trying to get a concave up with the Roaches, but I think there's just too many Stalkers. A couple of times usually going to land Spine Crawlers, and that'll keep them alive for now. And oh, the Mothership Core falls as well. Nice pick off for Trace. And big force of Roaches as well. Oh, a little Ling run by us. Nice, trying to take out the Prox Barn, but I don't think it'll be successful, unfortunately. And yeah, WarreN does have the advantage of that, like, nice tight ramp on Expedition Lost that you can get a big concave up around. But I mean, Trace has taken out his 3rd base. He's contained him really nicely, and I think it's going to be a bit tough for WarreN to make something happen going forward. But Trace, on the other hand, like, this isn't like a Immortal Sentry all-in, where it's a bit easier to transition out. The full Gateway all-in, there's no tech behind this. He's actually just throwing down his Robo, so it's much more difficult to transition out of.
Yeah, and he only threw down his third and fourth gas at the 13-minute mark. So even with that, like, you may be able to get that Robo Bay out, but normally you'd be at maybe an extra 100, 200 gas. So so I can put some sentries and get my Immortals out. Unlike WarreN here, which does have, he has 300 gas in the bank. Since he has been on 4, or actually he was on 3 gas, but still it was just a little bit of a, as you were saying, it's harder to transition out of, not only because you didn't have tech, but because you sacrificed a lot of that gas to be able to get those extra gates down.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, WarreN's gonna back down for now, as Trace kind of bunkers up on his 2 bases and plans his next all-in.
Plans the next all-in.
Yeah, I say that because there's no room for taking third base.
Yeah.
And I mean, Protoss, when at first you don't succeed, try another all-in again. And he's producing Immortals after that across the facility rather than going up any further up the tech tree towards Colossi, for instance. But he's first got to contend with these roaches WarreN made for the defense. He's going to be hammering down the rocks in the back wall. Yeah, these going to be a bit tough to deal with.
Yeah, these roaches have to be very careful if they do take down these rocks, or at least if they go up the ramp because of just these sentries. And with the amount of stalkers, there is no blink, but still a lot of stalkers, even though they start to lose their value later in the game, they are still very, very good in the early game for right now. And Trace trying to take down these rocks to get at least a better angle if these roaches do come up the backhand side. So a nice kind of planning from him, but looks like WarreN will take this Xel'Naga tower, which is even better for him, just trying to get a nice angle onto Trace's meager army, but he actually has pushed out 3 Immortals at this point. So this Roach army is looking a little bit weak. There is Hydras, but like I was saying, just the amount of Stalkers, no matter what, 100 Zealots is going to do a lot of damage, or 24 Stalkers will do a lot of damage in these situations.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, any amount of Hydras does a fair bit of damage. 14 Hydras, 28 Roaches. That's a pretty nice army for WarreN. It'll depend a little bit on the engagement, and obviously since it's fairly roach heavy, the Immortals and Sentries will be very, very effective, but we'll basically see how well Trace can take the engagement. He's already got a pretty scary army, but WarreN's got a beautiful pre-concave split set up here, and it's enough to force Trace back to start with.
Yeah.
And he's going to try and come around for a different engagement.
Some beautiful force fields right there from Trace, actually getting just a few units in and pretty much force fielding the rest of them out. Really right here for Trace is Mikizi does not want to overextend. He has enough sentries in this composition to get up a couple force fields each time, and that's exactly what he needs. He needs to be able to just split the army into a half at least to be able to work this out, but he's deciding, okay, third base not going to happen. Let's see if we can go for natural, but then WarreN actually just said, I'm going to send some Lings over to take out the rest of the rocks that I just barely did not kill, which is a really, really cool move from him.
Yeah, the force fields go down on the natural ramp as well, so I can't feel like if Trace moves back, it would be a fantastic engagement, but it's really good as it is.
Double time work.
WarreN is able to just squeeze down the bottom of that ramp, but it looks like Trace has enough to break through. Nothing to contend with these Immortals. They can't close with them, and a really, really good choice to swing around towards the natural has meant that he's really nicely cost-efficiently wiped out WarreN's army. And it looks like he is going to have broken the natural location. Across the map, of course, some Lings have streamed in, and it's not enough. Trace just has too much. He's going to do too much damage. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Game 3. The winner of this advances onwards to the winner's match, have a chance of finishing the money. And first contender for that is cheesy pink Protoss player up in the top of Varney Research Station from 346 Pro Team, Trace.
Yes, these two players really trying to contend for that money right now. $25 if you do get into the round of 8. And Trace's opponent on the bottom spawn position of Varney Research Station, the blue Zerg representing Immortals Gaming, it is WarreN. I think a 3 hash before pool would be pretty cool on this map.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's what WarreN's going to go for, though, just given the positioning of that first hatch. Oh, wow, maybe it is. That's kind of surprising, though. I feel like when you're going 3 hatch full pool, it's a little better to go for the base WarreN is now having blocked first, because it's the more difficult one to secure, and when you've got your natural, which is pretty much 100% free, like maybe 80-90% free, as opposed to most naturals, which are, I don't know, like 70-80% free. Like, you can take that anytime you want, especially if you've already expanded out to the low ground one. But I don't know. He goes 3 hatch full pool. No, he ends up not going 3 hatch full pool because of that block. But he ends up going like pool hatch pool and pretty economically. So he gets them all up. It's no real disadvantage so long as he doesn't like lose that hatch down on the low ground to something that could have been prevented by getting a spine crawler up or having some queens to dance around it. And I don't think there's any chance of that happening. So it all works out okay.
Yeah, I agree. And on this map, at least it's not overgrowth, not the same distance as that, so it is not as big as a 3 or 4 player map. Actually, would this be about the distance of a 3 player map? You'd see something like Catalina. I think it is about the same, actually.
Yeah, probably about the same, I guess. Oh, actually, Trace is gonna try and punish this a little bit with a Mothership Core and a Zealot moving out. So I might eat my words, and WarreN, would have been well served by a Queen down there. But it looks like the Queen's going to move down. Either way, actually, the Queen doesn't do so well against a Mothership Core and a Zealot, whilst a Queen beats a Mothership Core, and a Queen kiting with like support from 1 or 2 other units beats a Zealot. The two of them together are extremely powerful combination.
Yeah, this Zealot, though, getting there a little bit early will be a good thing for WarreN in this position, being able to get some early damage done on that Zealot, only bringing it down to actually a quarter health, or I guess a third health here, since he is 150 total shields, total health put together. So for right now, Trace is to hang back until those shields get back. Now, there is 4 Lings down, and it's going to be interesting, I feel like, what Trace is going to do, because as you're saying, Queen just straight up beats the Mothership Core, but he already lost a lot on this Zealot, so I'm curious to see if he's going to move in again or bring one of these or bring some units with. But it looks like actually Trace moving out to make a proxy pylon, and he's put on 3 gates, throwing down a forge, and I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen here, or at least out of Trace. Very curious.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty tough, but. I mean, WarreN is getting down his Roach run. He's getting Lair at the same time, but I feel like Lair could be a bit greedy. But I
agree. Off of three bases, I kind of agree with that. But one thing I'm kind of curious about for Trace is he. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's not so much just on 3 bases. I think it's just like a little bit early while he's doesn't really know what his opponent's doing. But yeah, no, sorry. Go on.
I feel like normally you'd throw down your Roach War and then you do your layer. You throw down your Roach War and get out a couple of roaches and you say, okay, now I'm in a good position. I have a little bit of defense. But what I was going to say, at least for Trace, is I see getting the gateway and +1 weapons. But I feel like normally you just go for a couple extra gates here. But he's kind of trying to not say he's not an all-in. I can go a little bit more to the gateway into the mid game. But really, this is a whole bunch of sentries and 2 zealots and a stalker. So that's not going to do that well versus WarreN's composition. I mean, you want these 4 sentries, yes, of course, but then you want 10 zealots or 10 stalkers because then
Yeah, that's because he's not doing any kind of all-in. He's just trying to get a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the Forge.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very safe to do as well, because that Mothership Core just gives them an instant recall, instant out, if they get into any kind of risky position where he's going to lose some sentries. And if WarreN underreacts, then a bunch of sentries do really, really nicely. Oh, beautiful force fields there. Completely saving those sentries from Zealot. But
can't save the Nexus, though.
That does mean the sentries can't save the Zealots. I think like maybe 1 or 2 more force fields could actually push the sentries out there. But yeah, the Nexus does get cancelled. But now there's a cannon finished up. Trace can wall that off a little bit more completely with another gateway, and will. So yeah, I mean, WarreN did manage to delay his opponent's Nexus, which is pretty nice. And now, oh damn, WarreN likes his goal bases, doesn't he?
Yeah, most definitely Warren is liking the gold bases. I think he's actually in a good position for this. He may not actually have the army to push back what Trace can do, but he definitely Trace cannot move out anytime soon right now just because of the really good map control that Warren has, or not even map control, but just he has speedlings. They're so fast on this map, he will be able to do whatever he wants. And right now, out of Warren, just getting up what seems like into Roach Tech, or actually no, Hydralisk Tech. Curious what he's going to do with that, or I mean, obviously getting the Hydras out, but curious for that, the thought process through that, because obviously they are better than the Roaches, and you can put your, it's the next step up, you're skipping that tech tree, but I'm curious why he feels so safe against this. I feel like four bases and a Protoss player that has 6 or 8 gates is pretty scary.
I mean, yeah, I think Trace is pretty scary, and the blink +2 and blink is a pretty scary attack for any kind of Zerg player to attack. I'm not sure. I mean, WarreN has managed to get up to 4 bases, obviously, one of them being of gold as well. So he's gonna have tons and tons of resources to kind of throw as inefficiently as he likes for quite a while at holding off anything that Trace does push towards him with. And having Hydralisk out is one of the first bits that makes Zerg feel safe against several different things in kind of early mid game. Once you've got Hydralisk out, you feel safe against just about any kind of big gateway timings or anything, unless that doesn't involve a bunch of Colossi, basically. So I think he's looking in a decent position. His second Evo is going to come and start his double upgrades as well. Although it can't be underestimated just how powerful +2 Stalkers are, especially against Zerg units that don't have any kind of defense upgrades.
Yeah, +2 Stalkers with Blink are very, very scary to deal with. And as you were saying, kind of with Trace here, he does have the Robo Bay out, and he also has a DT Shrine. So I'm curious as in, yes, he can do some DT harassment, but that is going to severely inhibit his Colossus production when he's going to get out of this Robo Bay. So it's going to be key that these DTs can do some damage. And we do see a lot of Spine Crawlers come down from WarreN, and he actually has 0 Spore Crawlers at the moment, but he does have a couple Overseers already with the army and already kind of prepared for whatever they need to do with. So it's going to be really key for Trace to not attack too early, and when he does attack, to get damage done, so he will be able to transition into whatever Robotech, unless he's planning on doing a massive all-in with just Blink Stalkers.
Yeah, this first DT gets taken out, no problem. The other one is actually going to make its way in towards the main. Will be spotted now, though. Damn, WarreN actually has this Overseer on patrol move all the way inside his main base. So yeah, this one will probably be able to kill 1 or 2 drones, but not enough damage to pay for a DT. I don't think. 3 kills, 4 kills. That's not great. Enduring Locust is going to come out of WarreN as well, and I saw the Infestation Pit, and I worried this might happen. Vinyl Research Station is a really, really nice map for Swarm Hosts. Just the whole layout of it. How it's kind of a long map that has one main attack path and maybe 1 or 2 side attack paths. You can cover that pretty nicely with just a couple Swarm Hosts. Once you take this forward base that's kind of in between the 2 WarreNs already taken, plant your Storm Host just in front of that. You get fantastic defense of this gold base. You get to deny your opponent's equivalent base, and even push in and get 1 shot per wave off or something on his other bases out here. The one that WarreN's taking right now, and
what do you see?
The one that's taking right now, and WarreN's going to push towards that, try and deny it. I don't think he can do much to it at the minute, but he's going to build up a little bit of bank, maybe trade in with some Roach Hydra Viper, and then he can remax on whatever he wants. He'll have a Spire, he can go big Mucus remax if he thinks that's a good idea. He'll have a Swarm Host remax if he deems necessary. So he's got a lot of options. He's kind of thinking about what his next army will be, because his current one is not going to win the game.
Yeah, WarreN can really remax on whatever he wants very soon because of the just sheer amount of his bank. And so it's really going to be key what we're going to see in the next few minutes out of WarreN, whether he's going to be really aggressive, sacrifice his army in transition, or I think it's probably a bad idea to let Trace move in for the kill. I think he probably wants to gauge maybe halfway mid-map, so then he doesn't have the time to at least get a lot more units out. But as I say that, though, Trace only has this one Colossus, so if somehow WarreN can get a nice flank, some nice attack on an angle, obviously these Blink Stalkers do a blink, but there's only one Colossus, but it does not have that many Hydras. Oh, a couple of Roaches, and really the army is just not that big for WarreN. He's got Roaches, Hydras, but really not anything here.
Yeah, Trace has a lot of Stalkers, but very little else. Oh, here's two more Colossi. That makes more sense. I thought they must be somewhere, because Trace was looking a little bit, his arm was looking a little shaky. Stalkers scale off a lot the later the game goes, really. Oh, this is a nice little Zealot run by. Should be able to get some damage done. But, yeah, because they're not like super high DPS, they're kind of tanky-ish, and their main strength is obviously like their turbo maneuverability, with Blink anyway, and they're relatively fast, other than that. So that kind of scales off. Given they're mainly army units, that really scales off. Like, you don't necessarily want a maneuverable army. Think of all the big, scary late-game armies, like the Golden Armada or Swarm Host Corruptor. They're not maneuverable armies. They're not fast armies. Because if you imagine, like, all the different tweaking knobs you get to balance a unit, speed is very much one of them, or maneuverability. They're kind of interchangeable. And if you make a unit more maneuverable, it's kind of got to take a hit in terms of either damage or tankiness or other utility, because that's balance. And Stalkers have that maneuverability, which means they kind of lack in most of the other areas, and so they're not great the longer the game goes on.
Yeah, but I totally agree with you there. The one plus side, at least for Trace, is he can get in a nice position with the... What?
No, I was just saying 11 gateways are just finishing up for Trace.
Yeah, it's a ton for Trace right now. A lot of gateway units. And right now, actually, Greater Spire coming out of WarreN, so I'm thinking maybe go into that Broodlord if he at least wants to, but he is getting all the techs, Ultralisk, Swarm Host, so he'll be able to transition whatever he wants with the 5,000, 2,000 bank. Looks like Army of WarreN trying to engage right now, but for Trace, I mean, it's just such a big army, and so many Stalkers will at least provide a lot of a meat shield for 4 Colossus. And 4 Colossus will basically destroy anything, but WarreN's saying, okay, I can get my Corruptors out then, but again, with so many Stalkers, it's just so hard to get these Corruptors in a nice position. So I feel like really, WarreN's going to want to start transitioning very soon, or at least be ready for that, because this army is going to hit really hard when it does, and it's not going to look good for Trace's current army. Or for WarreN's current army.
I think WarreN is going to have to trade at least relatively evenly with this army, and good Blinding Clouds, actually. But the Storms are coming in now as well for Trace, and Trace is on track to crush through WarreN's army. That's something WarreN cannot afford to happen. He needs to at least not take too much damage while his Remix comes in.
He's supply blocked. WarreN just got terribly supply blocked right there. And so the Remax isn't going to be happening just for a couple more seconds. We do have 7 Ultralisks on the way, though, so going an Ultralisk path, this is a little bit crazy, but I don't know if it's going to be that great of a composition, but at least Ultralisk Broodlord might be decent versus this.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, Ultra threw were incredible versus Blink Stalkers. Even though Blink Stalkers are really okay versus Broodlords, just park a bunch of Ultras under them. The Stalkers blink under the Broodlords, and then they just get swiped horrendously by the Ultras. Complete annihilated. So,
Tempest go for Trace.
Yeah, the Tempests are definitely the answer to this. To the Broodlords that WarreN's pulling out. I really like that like 1 DT and an Observer little creep sniping force we came out, because at this stage in the game that's not very especially offensive. Wow, he's just trading off.
Will get picked off, by the way. 5 or 6 sentries right there, not so good for Trace. It's kind of random. In the main of Trace, he has 2 gateways that are not powered, but I don't know when something hit that. I have no idea when that was attacked, but just funny thing right there. Looks like the 4th base, or the 5th base, will be cancelled of Trace's. Trace not in a great position for that. Moving back in, currently WarreN on a Hydralisk Roach Ultralisk army, which is pretty, I mean, it's good, but with Trace's army that's kind of mixing in now with he does have 2 Tempests, 4 more Tempests, some Immortals mixing in, it's going to be just a very, very powerful death ball, which WarreN still doesn't quite have. I feel like WarreN, he is maxed out at the moment, but I feel like his army would be normally a lot bigger than this. And these Stalkers do have the maneuverability, which will allow them to do a little bit of harassment here at least. They won't obviously scale that well to do a ton of damage, but they can get in and out of this very heavy Ultralisk army, which is exactly what they need to do versus Ultralisks.
Yeah, they can kite really, really nicely without anything locking them down. But WarreN knows that. He knows that he has something he can lock them down, and that's why the pathogen glands currently researching. He can start infestors any second now, and they'll spawn with 1 fungal's worth of energy. And like Ultralisk, Infestor, Infestor Viper is pretty scary, because if we look at Trace's army, like if it all gets fungaled and blinding clouded, there's like nothing that deals with the ultras. So
yeah.
That's going to turn around, thinking Trace blinked forwards a little too far, and trade up for a couple of stalkers. So WarreN's got a really high DPS army here with the Ultless and with Hydras, and he's going to try and close with these stalkers here, but has to back off. Time Warp very nice at slowing down the whole army, actually. Even the Ultless, though they don't get slowed themselves, have to move through the thick soup of Hydra Roach, which does get slowed down.
The thing I love for Trace right now, at least, is his army may not be the best versus this, but he does, as you were saying, what is it? How many building structures? He does have, I was going to say 11, I don't know. There are 17 gateways and 2 Robos and 2 Stargates. So sometimes you see from a Protoss player not really having not enough production, but at the moment, he does have the exact production. If this entire army is destroyed, he's a 4,000, 3,000 bank, and he'll be able to pretty much remax on whatever he wants really quickly, which is surprising for Protoss.
Yeah, definitely. Not what's really expected. Generally, I mean, as I mentioned, like those 11 warp gates, he's currently now sitting on 17 gateways, and that's going to be a lot of zealots that suddenly come into the fight. So, already need a lot of Archons as well. So they're both kind of dancing around, but these Tempests allow Trace to trade while he's dancing. He has to be careful not to get cut off, though. And this could be a really nice engagement for WarreN. A big surround comes down here.
Nice feedback, though.
Out. But those Ultras just melted.
This army composition, it did have 3 Immortals before that. I don't know how much that affected it. Stalkers are getting dwindled down right now, working on these Brood Boars, but they're all these Tempests. So a little bit of micro, these Tempests should be in a good position, but it looks like, actually, take that back, Krupp is doing a massive amount of damage, but we do see what looks like 24 more Stalkers being warped in off the back of this. 2 Immortals coming out, and plus 1/1 air for Trace, and he really needs to have more coming out, because we see 15 Ultralisks coming out for WarreN, so this army is going to hit hard, and it's going to hit fast.
Oh yeah, he needs to group them up a little bit first, but that's that big gateway rearrangement I was talking about, and I mean, they can nearly one-shot these Ultras, but once he sees the first one comes out, he knows that more will be swiftly on the way and does have to back off. But I mean, yeah, both players getting to a stage where they can remax really quickly. Of course, WarreN's remax with the warp cycle, and the fact that he could have proxy partners with the army. He just remaxes and then pays the time cost. But WarreN keeps on getting supply blocks, even when he's been on 200 supply several times. And so I kind of feel like he's being a bit careless with his overlords, maybe. But
yeah. I agree with the Overlords, and I'm also kind of a little bit worried for the Ultralisk upgrades and the Ling upgrades. Just only +1 ground attack. Now, obviously, Ultralisks are amazing, but just getting into this late game war, Trace is at 3-3, and his air will very soon be at 3-3. WarreN does not want to fall behind in those upgrades, because that makes all the difference in these really late game engagements.
Yeah, he's at 2-3 now though, so I'm pretty sure +3 attack will be started again in a second, and it's not all that bad.
For a while, he was only at 1-3 in that first engagement. And the engagement where he lost all his Ultralisks, he was at 1-3, and I think that really didn't go well to him. From Trace moving with these Stalkers, he does have 8 Immortals, a lot right there, which will do very well versus this Ultras composition. The Ultras trying to get a nice concave here. Stalkers will be able to blink in whatever direction they want, but there's not that many Tempests, or there's not that much air to be able to keep attacking during this. And there's a couple of Hydralisks mixed in with WarreN's army, which actually I think is really cool.
Yeah, just a few Hydralisks that pump out quite a lot of DPS. And this is a lot of GTs. They're going to pump out so much DPS as well, and there's no detection here, so all these Ultras will go down. GT's a little bit faster, they can chase them down as well and act as kind of weird force fields to run away. And the Fungals come in, but I think a little bit too late, especially now. I don't think WarreN's to realize about these GTs, and they're just slaughtering his army. And the Fungals, the Blinding Clouds, all the supporting spell cost is not quite with the army, not grouped up, means that Trace takes a rushing engagement there. Yeah. We see that effect in the resources lost tab as well. He's nearly a full 10,000 resources lost ahead.
Wow, that's so much. Like, trying to pump out Hydralisk right now, but it's not looking too good. If Trace, I don't think, should actually engage on this base right there, which he is. There's just so many Spine Crawlers. But actually, the main army is really not in a good position, so I take that back. This is decent for Trace right now, only engaging into these Spine Crawlers. Good for him with so many Immortals. And these, even though so many Hydralisks, I mean, Trace has so much production, and I feel like maybe his army's not as good, but his army can just keep hitting this base really, really hard and getting out quickly.
Yeah, it's
You can just get very nice positioning.
Trace has been just keeping on the Stalkers for so long and making them work, which I think is really surprising. And if WarreN had mixed in some Infestors earlier, and like imagine that fight which happened like from the Xel'Naga Watchtower all the way up to WarreN's like 4th base. Imagine if there's like 1 or 2 fungals had been landing every couple seconds and locking down those Stalkers and having them be swiped away. And oh my god, so many Archons just go morphed in. 9 Archons now, along with the 32 Stalkers and the Immortals, and I think that's going to be enough to power through this final wall.
Yeah, so much DPS. The thing I was worried about before for Trace is, well, obviously he has no Colossus for so many Hydralisks, but once you have 9 Archons, that really will just slaughter any Hydralisks that are there. Blinking under the Broodlords. Broodlords being taken out. His 4th base will for sure go down, I'm guessing the natural, and at least right now it does not look good for WarreN. I mean, 30 Lings coming out, but 9 Archons alone could take that out. Trace takes game 3, 2-1. GG.